Hello, good morning, y'all. This is Connor. My name is Connor Bouck, and here I am re-recording my alternate assignment video. If I sound a little icky, it's because I got exposed to COVID and I'm not feeling 100%. Also, I do have a dog in the room, and there are my girlfriend's niece and nephew in the house. If you hear screaming, do not worry, it's just the kids. All right, I'm gonna try my best here. I'm recording on my laptop because I don't have my PC with me, so bear with me. Hopefully, this works. It just looks like the sound is actually recording, but I'll check the video afterwards to make sure. All right. So first we have, let me pull the page up here, Kids in the Basement. All right, so I chose to title my stream Kids in the Basement, Does That Sound Right? Because of the article, The Kids in the Basement, that was assigned to me. I felt like it really fit well as a title, and like it doesn't sound right, so I figured it would be a great little introduction page. So my name is Connor Bouck, like I said. The reason I chose my topic is I hate seeing schools and school districts and just people that are trying to ignore the not normal students. Um, and by not normal students, I mean ELL students or just struggling students in school. My school called them RTS students. So many of my game plan is data, and data is personal experience at my home schools. It's where I'm basing a lot of my personal experience from a little bit of writings. The location of ELL students and inequality for ELL students is outrageous. I find it really annoying that English language learners and struggling students don't really have equality. So I'm going to be kind of talking about that. Meeting in the basement. So this thing, this assigned reading, was basically talking about the location that students have that are students in ELL or struggling RTS are put in that usually is generally away from the main part of the school, such as like basements, leaky closets, that sort of stuff. So, language minority students and students with special needs are too often hidden away in the basement or hall closet or a room which is leaky ceiling on the fourth floor module unit separated from the rest of the school. Near a picture, that was the article I was talking about. My school particular, we had a very small portion of ELL, and many of the ELL students were put into RTS, which is like their struggle program for struggling students who are behind in school. Those students were put not in, they weren't even in the main building of the high school. Okay, they were across the street, underneath the stadium, in a storage classroom. Basically, it felt like a storage area, but they're put there, and that's where they started to like walk across the hallway to get there. At least that's where I remember them being. I don't know if that's changed. As for students with disabilities, they were tucked down a hallway towards the band room, which was like 90% of the school didn't even go that way, so they're tucked away. You couldn't even see them half the time. Um, I think that's where they might have also moved the RTS students, were in classrooms nearby. Um, the percentage of public school students in the United States who were English language learners was higher in the fall of 2018 than it was in 2010. So there used to be a roughly 10% or 5 million students. Nowadays, it's 9.2 or 4.5 million students. Sorry, I said that completely backwards. In fall of 2019, 2010, there used to be 4.5, and that has since increased by 500,000. Fall of 2018, the percentage of public schools in student language range from 8% in West Virginia to 19.4%. So this is basically an article by NCES, and a little quote I took that basically is explaining that the amount of English language learners is steadily on the increase in our country. So we should do more for them since they're becoming a bigger part of our school. The next section I want to focus on is inequality. ELL students are at a disadvantage in multiple ways compared to regular English learners. ELL students have a lack of funding around English their English counterparts. If you look at any English program, they English language learner, they have less teachers because no one wants to be teachers, less funding. Schools are struggling in funding just in general. So finding the funds to supply for the minority is hard when you can't even find it from the main group. That's such a big problem. And talking with my dad about this a lot is that like the big problem for like trying to find workarounds and increase in funding and all of this like solutions to these EL students comes down to funding, and that our main schools aren't even getting it. So if our main general education doesn't have enough funding, imagine what it's like for English language learners. So we're taking a look at what needs to be done to ensure they are prepared for college. Right now, for example, only 1 out of 10 English language learners is prepared to go to college, according to IRA. Dr. Rabaloni. Only 1 out of 10. English language learners are prepared to go to college. That's crazy. Next little quote I have here is English language learners are almost 1 out of 5 students in the state, or almost 1 out of 5 students in the state of Texas are not being well served by schools in Texas. They continue to be placed in underfunded, poorly monitored, and segregated programs that do not produce results, particularly in middle school and high school. So roughly 1 out of 5 students in Texas is an English language learner. 1 out of 5 students are placed in underfunded programs. That's kind of sad, and something needs to be done about that. English language learners are one of the most at risk for academic failure. Other at-risk populations, such as racial and ethnic minority students, are often perceived as being more American and having more rights than children. So what does this mean? I chose this quote from Sora till page 170 because it really stuck out to me. Basically, it's saying that there's a hierarchy of what's considered Americans. You have your normal white students or normal just citizen students such as white, black, African American. At the top would be white students in classroom. I'm white, but I'm also Native American, so I'm just a tad bit lower. Then you have like the African American students that are placed a little bit lower on the scale. And then you get down to such at-risk populations such as like homeless kids and disability kids that are placed at the bottom of the social pecking order that have even more rights and are considered more American than people who don't know English or English language learners. So you could be a white student from France and be considered less American, even if you've been living in America your whole life, or you just moved to America from France, even though you have your citizenship. Just because you don't speak English or because you're struggling means you're less American and you have less rights than other people, which is totally bogus and really frustrating because I think everyone that lives in America, when living in America, deserves equal rights. We should be the land of opportunity, not an opportunity. So, what can I do? Well, theoretically, I can't do much. But you ever heard like the phrase like small actions make a big difference? Usually comes with climate change, picking up your trash, that makes a huge difference. Well, I can apply something like that to what I can do. So what can I do as a future teacher who isn't going to be directly a ELO major of a teacher? Well, I can hang up words with translations around my room, such as like vocab words. I can hang them up around my classroom with translations into various language. These translations would be based on not academics, I'm forgetting the word, the amount of students with different languages. So, for example, if I have a student that speaks French, a student that speaks Bulgarian, a student that speaks Spanish, I could put a vocab word up on the wall and have a translation in all 3 of their languages. The next thing I'm going to do is create handouts. If I create a handout to send home to their parents or just the student, create a secondary handout that has a translation of the student's native language. Therefore, it makes it easier for the parents to learn. But give them both so they can compare and learn a little English. Biggest thing I can do is learn who my English language learners are and do all I can for them. You're supposed to do all you can for your students, but do doubly so for all your ELO students because they have all these disadvantages. And by me being a stable support person in their career for education and learning English, that makes all the difference. If everything else is failing for them, at least I know myself that I can be the stable rock that I'm doing something right. Next thing I can do is I can push for a change in like staff meetings and everything or district meetings. Always advocate for my students. Maybe write an email to the superintendent or the governor about increasing rights and funding for ELL students. Show my regular students what the struggles of ELL students are and that everyone deserves respect and equality. Kind of teaching kids how to respect people around them, that sort of thing. My second part of the game plan is what can you do? I think everyone can do something. I think people need to recognize and realize the lack of care for yellow students. I think that people should try their best and aim to help ELL students to make ELL students' life easier. I think that all teachers and people can advocate for ELL students, and they should be. I think that's going to be the one biggest thing anyone can do is advocate, support, and care for ELL students. If everything's going wrong and no one else can help, at least you can. Even if it's not much, just being someone they can look to is such a big motivation for these students. So my reference here would be profoundly multicultural questions, personal experiences, or BBS newsletter. So yeah, that's why I think everyone should be think the biggest thing that would help with EL students, in my opinion, and this is what I aim to do, is just to spread awareness. My big game plan is to spread awareness of inequalities and struggles in EL students, and hopefully that will achieve some mark on increasing their rights and funding inequality for EL students. Um, Sorry that I didn't have volume set up on the first row ground, and I hope this one was an improvement, but I'm not sure. I did get that 10-minute mark, so it's a little shorter. Sorry. Hope you enjoy, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, and take care. Signing off.